So the purpose of showing a couple of slides is to set the foundation of what we know about oncology, specifically about cancer cells, and to let you know that this is valuable information because we're not addressing cancer as a thing that you just cut out or radiate or use chemotherapy on. Cancer is a process. It's not a thing. And the beauty nowadays in 2021 is that we know a lot about cancer. Of course, there's a lot to be learned, needless to say, but these 10 biological hallmarks are characteristics of all cancer types. So independently, if someone has breast cancer, pancreatic cancer, colon cancer, brain tumors, whatever the cancer primary site is, all cancers have these 10 biological hallmarks. And this was published in 2000 and then revisited in 2010 by Dr. Weinberg, now out of MIT, and Dr. Hanahan out of Stanford. And so the first biological hallmark, I won't go deep into each one because they're a topic in themselves. But see, cancer cells are able to evade growth suppressor signals. So for example, the P53 gene, it's in every tissue of our body. So when there is a cancer cell that's forming or a virus, the P53 gene activates itself and goes target those cancer cells or those viruses. It's called the guardian of the genome. But cancer cell has a way to evade and suppress these signals of the body. And so in a therapy, we need to give a modality that upregulate P53 gene expression because cancer cells are suppressing the expression of these P53 gene. Cancer cells are always also able to sustain proliferative signaling. What does that mean? Saying it bluntly, I'm a guy from New Jersey, but what this means is that cancer cells don't have birth control. They will proliferate on a continuous basis unless they're stopped. So we know this, and they're sending signal. And where is this most important signal coming from? Or one of the most important, in my opinion, and my experience, it's up here in the brain. So the information, our thoughts, I've been quoted as saying a negative thought can kill you faster than a bad germ. And so what that means is that we have to, yes, the physical treatments and the ozone and the hyperthermia and all these treatments are excellent. However, what are the thoughts? Because that information, either positive or negative or uncertain, doubt, is being received by every cell in the body. Cancer cells are notoriously clever and intelligent. And so we have to feed the body with positive information, either through meditation, reading the scripture, grabbing onto these healthy, positive thoughts and affirmation and dispersing the ones that are negative. The third hallmark of cancer is that cancer cells are able to invade and spread, very similar to a growing trophoblast, which becomes a placenta. And there's another therapy that we do at Hope for Cancer that goes along that theory. Dr. John Beard in 1910 found that the trophoblast, which eventually becomes a placenta, invades tissue, right? It invades the uterus to fix itself to the uterine lining. It forms blood supply. And you see that that's number 8 on the hallmark, inducing angiogenesis, blood supply. And the trophoblast also avoids immune recognition. And you see that, that's number 6, avoiding immune destruction. And the trophoblast initially proliferates very quickly. That's enabled proliferative replication. That's the trophoblast and the cancer cells and
hey, Dr. Tony, I don't know if it's just my end or if everyone's seeing it. Maybe a few folks can chat, but it was cutting out there for a moment, just the last 20 seconds or so.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure. Is this any better? I'll keep on talking to make sure this is okay. I
Yeah,
seem to
I can
have,
hear you good now. It shows red on your Wi-Fi. Maybe the internet's having a little issue there, but go ahead and keep going. I can hear you good now.
okay, so in 1910, what Dr. John Beard found is that at 56 days after conception, after fertilization, the fetal pancreas starts to secrete an enzyme called trypsin, and that's what stops the proliferation of the placenta and the trophoblast, or else, the body won't be able to sustain that growth of a huge, developing baby. So one of the therapies at Hope for Cancer is tackling these specific hallmarks. So one of the therapies we use is called the Gonzalez Protocol. This is based on Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez, before that, Dr. Kelly. And so there's 7 doctors now that have been certified by the Gonzalez Foundation. This is recent information, Nathan and everyone. So I was blessed to be one of the 7 doctors selected to undergo rigorous training. It was over a year training and reading 9 books and all kinds of tests, but it's done. And now we're able to, at Hope for Cancer, provide the Gonzalez program, which is targeting these hallmarks. That was the point of this. So as you see here, cancer cells are also like inflammation. Chronic inflammation is synonymous with a progressive cancer scenario, inducing angiogenesis, like I said. So one of the areas that we must evaluate when a patient comes to a health facility is do an ultrasound with high resolution to look at that tumor, whether it's in the breast, in the liver, wherever it is, or lymph node, and see how much blood flow they have. What's the vascularity? So the higher the vascularity, the blood flow, of course, the more angiogenesis, and that relates to more activity. So that area is more active than a tumor or a lymph node that has very mild or no blood flow. So part of our work is in decreasing angiogenesis in the tumor and in the lymph node, because we have to address these 10 hallmarks of cancer. And so the big point is here that any therapeutic modality, and you've been blessed of receiving so much information during the Conquering Cancer Summit. And so it's been, what I'm trying to do is bring this together in a form that now consolidates that information, gives you more of a comprehensive healing plan. In other words, kind of putting all this together, right? Because I hear these questions all the time. Patients say, well, Dr. Tony, I heard this there and this there and here. What diet should I follow? Should it be the metabolic diet? Should it be the macrobiotic, and so forth? So we're trying to form the foundation here that these hallmarks of cancer must be addressed. So remember, cancer is an inflammatory disease. Cancer is a cold disease. Most of the patients that have cancer, specifically the more moderate to severe scenarios, they have low body temperature. Instead of 98.6, we have some patients Fahrenheit, some patients that are 95.5 Fahrenheit. So this is driving the cancer process. In centigrade, that would be 37 degrees Celsius, which is normal. And so we have patients that could be, 36, 35.5 Celsius. So we have to modulate the blood, the body temperature. This is why full body hyperthermia, local hyperthermia becomes a very important part of therapies. This I learned many years ago, and it's been so confirmed every time I go to Europe and Germany specifically. I was telling Nathan before we got on that I just came back from Germany and Switzerland. So this is part of what I do. Independently of COVID or no COVID, I'm traveling the world to see what's new and, interact with colleagues and give everyone that comes to Hope for Cancer the best possibility of a favorable outcome. So cancer is an inflammatory disease. It's a cold disease. And what else? It's an acidic disease, right? So we have to modulate acidosis and bring the pH of the terrain, the tumor terrain, back into more of a balance, a pH balance. So we monitor pH as well. And then the fourth is what? Cancer is a hypoxic disease, low oxygen, right? And we know that from many years ago, the works of Otto Warburg and many others. So inflammation, hypothermia, cold temperature, acidity, and low oxygen. Very unique characteristics of a malignant process. And then you take the 10 hallmarks of cancer, and now we know a lot about cancer, and it guides us to bring together a therapeutic approach that will give us the best possible outcome.
We hope you enjoyed this short excerpt from the Health and Healing Club. This entire video, including an in-depth discussion and thoughtful and inspiring questions and answers, is available inside the Health and Healing Club, along with hundreds of hours of premium and exclusive life-changing content, practices, and holistic, natural, and integrative solutions for health and healing. You can start your free trial today at healthandhealingclub.com.